Okay.
Okay, well, I'm Monica Aguele, and I'm married to Atose, and we've been collecting art for some time, and we've been involved with Zeitz since the opening, so that's how we got connected to the exhibition.
Good. And I'm Atose Aguele. I'm married to Monica, and we've been collecting for about 30 years. We've been involved with the Zeitz MOCAA since its inception. My interest in art was picked quite early, so probably in university. I had an interest in art. I wouldn't say I collected at that time, but certainly bought one or two pieces. I think our collecting started about 30 years ago. We got married about 30 years ago and developed a keen interest in mostly African art. There wasn't, for me, it wasn't, and I speak for myself, it wasn't a deliberate act to collect only African art. I think I collected on the basis of what I felt was a cultural alignment, sociological. So I started collecting Nigerian art, which resonated with me. And later on, of course, started collecting just not Nigerian art, but art outside Nigeria, but mostly still on the continent. I found quite a distinct similarity between art in Nigeria and art elsewhere on the continent.
I'm African American, as I said, but I've lived in Nigeria for some time. And so I think the first exposure was Nigerian art, but while there I became exposed to art from other parts of the continent. So that's what really sparked the interest. Okay, so there's a lot, right? Not a lot, but a few.
So we've got a few works that is part of this exhibition. Yeah, and I think it does represent a fair spectrum of the sort of works we've collected over the years. We've got art from Nigeria, Ghana, Uganda, South Africa, and I'm not sure if I've left any country out, but it's wide spectrum. I think there's a work that is one of my favorite, which is Girls in Waiting, which was done by Ben Enwonwu in 1959. We purchased that work 12 years ago. But the significance of that work is that it was done in 1959, which for contemporary African art is fairly old. But it was done, and the subject was quite revolutionary at that time. So it was just on the cusp of the Nigerian independence, which was 1960. And everybody was really excited about this new freedom that the country would have been independent from the UK. And so this piece really speaks to the role of women in the independence. And as you can see when you look at the work, it's actually a lead woman opening a curtain with other women in the background and even little girls, also saying we're part of this conversation and we're part of this new independence. So that's, for me, one of my favorites.
I'm not sure if I have a favorite, but Yeah, the ones, like I said, the first ones that I was exposed to were a lot of the Ben Enwonwus, and yeah, they're just all, beautiful works. There is one we have from Uganda, Mukasa,
Mukasa.
from Uganda, which is another one of, I guess it's one of the larger ones we have too, and it's quite colorful, quite abstract. It's just a lot going on, and it's just eye-grabbing. I mean, it's just one of these paintings where no matter what angle you're looking at it, it looks like it's looking at you. So, yeah, so we have everything from portrait art to like a little more abstract and art, and so it's just, there's a wide range. So but I would have to say that they all have they're all beautiful, and they all have their specific interesting points and interesting parts to them. So yeah.
So I think certainly it's first of all, the collection and what the curators have done is really epic for contemporary African art. I'm not sure, and I maybe stand to be corrected, but I don't think any exhibition of this scale has ever been attempted or even carried out before. So, and the importance really is about the conversation of contemporary art on the continent, and not just on the continent, in the diaspora. So, in the US and the Caribbean. The conversation that was going on at the time, where we also had liberation movements, we had anti-colonial movements, we had human rights issues in America. And all of this was happening at the time a lot of these contemporary works were being created. And there seems to be a common theme. And so you look at Bearden, for example. Romeo Bearden is an African-American artist who painted in the 40s. And you compare him, for example, to a Sokoto. And there's an incredible similarity between some of these artists. And then if I come to the continent, of course, we now know that at the time these artists were actually active, they actually also were in communications with each other. So, for example, Ben Enwonwu did jointly exhibit, I think, with Tana, the Mozambican artist, in Harare. I think it was Salisbury then, in 1962. So there was a lot of conversation between the artists. Jacob Lawrence was in Nigeria and I think Ghana in the 50s. We know that letters were written between Ben Enwonwu, for example, and Sokoto, and they had a fairly close relationship. So certainly they must have influenced each other. And seeing all of that in one exhibition is quite fascinating. And it tells a fascinating history of the continent over the last 100 years, and a positive history.
Yeah, I just think just being, as I said, an American and African American, I think is really great for people to see this collection brought together from all parts of the world. I think it is epic and historic, and as he said, and the hope is that it will travel and that more people, if they can't get to South Africa, at least they'll have a chance, hopefully an opportunity to see it wherever they live, or get to a place closer, because I really don't, I think people would be really fascinated to see a lot of the similarities and themes of these artists that lived worlds apart, miles and miles and thousands of miles apart. So I think people would really be just fascinated. It's a wonderful idea, concept, and I'm just really hoping that it gets the chance to travel to many places, and so more people can enjoy this experience. And educationally, also very important for young people and artists to see, these artists from around the world. And, that's very key, because sometimes these things may not be brought up also in a classroom situation. So this is something that people can see of all ages and enjoy and also be proud of.
I think it's it's humbling, obviously. It's 200, I'm told it's over 200 works. We have a fairly modest collection in the overall exhibition. I think it was very important that an African institution is the institution that is hosting this exhibition. I think that was important for us. But as I said, it's very humbling. It was almost surreal coming here and seeing the works, and seeing a Jacob Lawrence and an Enwonwu in the same room. It was quite surreal.
Yes. Yeah, we're happy that we had the opportunity to participate in this type of in this exhibition. We participated in exhibitions before, but I think this one is definitely special. Again, I just think it's going to give so many people opportunity to see such great works on a grand scale, and just really happy to play a small role and share this experience, and hopefully everyone share this experience with people around the world. I guess just in awe, it was just really just as fantastic collection again, and I was just really amazed. It's just really what put together, and it just made you feel very, you just felt you felt good as well. I think this is it can be a bit personal. It's just because it's just so many of the artists that you're familiar with and not familiar with, but just to see the works and the scale of works, and it was really amazing. So made me just feel very, again, proud as well. Very proud, because I feel connected, and I think that's really important. I think that's what this exhibition is going to do. It's going to make people feel connected from around the world.
Yeah, so same. I felt very proud. I think, with exhibitions like this, nobody really sees the work that goes into putting this sort of exhibition together. I mean, this is a massive, massive undertaking. The curatorial team did an excellent job trying to put this together. I mean, when we were approached and says, look, this is what we want to do. We're looking for African artists from all over the world. We are having a conversation about figurative art in Africa, in the diaspora for 100 years. I thought it was a fairly ambitious undertaking, but I think the team has done, just an excellent job curating this exhibition, and we feel very proud to be part of it. Thank you.
Yeah.